God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. This text has guardrails around the love of God. It says, even as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so shall the Son of Man be lifted up. God so loved the world. It's the greatest love story ever told. It is stronger than Romeo and Juliet. It is about a lover giving his body to save his bride. It is a reflection of the fact that Adam died with his bride and Jesus died for his bride. Though the image is painful and the image is so severe, but the impulse that created the image is extremely beautiful. The impulse is about love. The image is about pain. Hence we have this dichotomous subject of bruised love. Loving somebody gives them the power to hurt you. It means I give you my shield. I have no defense against your words. He's saying I am defenseless against you. So on one hand, love seen here is so beautiful that the writer has to modify the noun with so. Not God loved the world, but God so loved the world. The intensity of God, whatever God feels, he feels to a maximum capacity. God has great feel, like in the Old Testament when it says God was wroth. The word wroth in Hebrew means anger with fire. Means my nostrils are ablaze, I'm so angry. I'm wroth. Whatever he feels to a strong degree. To the same degree of his anger is the same degree of his love. God so loved that when I look at the cross, I see blood and I see bruising. And Isaiah said his entrails were hanging out and there was no beauty about him that we should desire him. And I see a horrific sight, and he calls it in the book of Acts, after his passion. I do not see passion, I see pain. But then I realize that passion is pain. There is nothing you can bring to the altar that Christ didn't cover. Sin has left a crimson stain and he washed it white as snow. He became everything that embodied whatever you might want to confess or talk about. He becomes that. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world. He did not send his Son into the world. We've misrepresented him because we act like God hates the world. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. True love is many things and can survive the strongest and most painful of times. True love. I'm talking about fake love, true love. When love comes out on the other side of a fire, it may be scarred forever. But this bruised love is somehow only greater for having survived the pain. There will be moments where love goes on trial. There will be tough times that you will have to deal with love. The problem with heartbreak, with a bruised love, is if I have a bruised arm, you can treat it. If I have a bruised shin, there's something you can do about it. But if my love is bruised, there is no surgery for a broken heart. When John, the writer, writes here about God, he says that God so loved. It would be enough to say that God loved, because God is love. But he says that God so loved. He had to put an adjective in front of it to modify the noun to make you understand the magnitude of the infinitive capacity of God to so love. The infinite capacity. Peter said, I pray that you might know the love of God with passeth all understanding. The breadth, the height, the depth of the love of God is incomparable. You can only try to come up with anthropomorphic terms to describe the infinite capacity for God to love. God said, I have loved you with an everlasting love. I loved you when you were drunk. I loved you when you were high. I loved you when you were nasty. I loved you when you were wicked. I loved you when you were evil. I loved you when you were fornicating. I loved you when you were stealing. I loved you when you were down and out. I loved you when you were in a homeless shelter. I loved you when you were in a jail cell. I loved you when you didn't have food to eat. I loved you when you was rich. I loved you when you were turning tricks. I loved you when you were strung out on cocaine. I loved you when you were on crack. God so